Welcome out on the Golden Bear Sports Network. Chris Malanga here for Inside the Bears Den, the Spring Sports Preview Edition. I'm with Athletic Director Nathan Keel, and can't believe it's spring sports already.
I know. I couldn't believe it either. Thinking about it the other day, it doesn't feel like it outside.
It doesn't, absolutely. I went out at lunch today, and there was a little snow flying in the air. So, but yeah, it's in full swing. But before we get started with interviewing all the coaches for the spring season, I want to kind of get back with you and recap the winter season and talk about the success, because we had some successes all around the various sports in the winter. And so primarily, the first one we'll talk about is our girls basketball team.
Yeah, making it back to regional finals again. Very exciting for the coaches and players and things like that. You know, having a target on their back all year and to be able to get to that point and play a very good Copley team is quite the run they had. 5 league championships in a row. I don't think it's ever been done in that fashion. So.
Plus a lot of, individual honors, league honors, district honors for the coach and the girls.
Yeah, it's nice to see them represented. Yeah. Anytime you get some of that recognition, you know that your hard work's been paying off, and so it's good to see that.
And 6 seniors that are going to graduate, and they're going to have some big shoes to fill next year when they get ready to do this.
Absolutely. When you look at all the sports that they play, I mean, they got a lot to be proud of and all their accomplishments, and they've really raised the bar for athletics here at Bryan.
Absolutely. So we also had our boys basketball team, which won their first tournament game in quite a bit.
Yeah, I think first tournament win since maybe 2019 or 2020, beating Port Clinton here at home in sectionals. Very exciting there, and it's good to see some of their work pay off as well, and in a different opponent in Port Clinton who we normally don't see. So that was a fun game.
And the season ended with, unfortunately, an opponent we do see a lot.
Yeah, Wasion, yes, the 1 seed in the district. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do have a coaching change that's going to be happening at basketball, and you want to talk a little bit about
Coach Homeyer decided to resign from his position, with family and things like that. He's got young kids. It's a tough situation to be in. I know the winter sports season, I can tell you personally, like that is a grind. It is a long season. There's days you don't see the sun. So, and then he wants to get home, see his kids. I completely understand that. So we are hiring a new basketball coach for our boys program, and we're excited to see how that plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. I just, Brock's a good guy, and watching him, coach, but at the same time he's got his 2 little daughters behind the bench with his wife, and it's like go over and see them. You can just feel that's a tough time in people's lives when they've got young kids.
Oh, you're playing every Friday and Saturday night in the boys basketball world, and then on top of that, during the week, you might only see your kids for 30 minutes a night. That's a tough situation to be in, and I know it was a really hard decision for him, with basketball being a huge part of his life, his upbringing. That's a tough decision to make, and I know we're very proud of the progress that he's made in our boys program and what he's done to re-energize things around here. So very thankful for him, and we'll see what the future holds.
All right, swim also had some people at state.
Yeah, you look at that. You look at Nora Koonsman in the 50 and the 100. She was all state in both of those. We had a relay that made it onto state, and then if you look at our divers, we had Caden Ward finish 3rd in the state, which is first team all state, and then Ethan Bailey as a freshman made it to state, and he finished 2nd team all state, which is awesome. I mean, they had a fantastic season.
Absolutely.
Be able to repeat what they did last year.
Nowhere to go but up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the great part about it. You look at diving and talking to Coach Luce with Caden Ward. He didn't really start diving until he was a sophomore. Yep. And so for him to be able to have the last 2 years that he has had and to progress in that, and then you look at Ethan Bailey, who's been able to learn from that, and he's only a freshman. And then on top of that, in the swimming world, you have Nora Koonsman, who's a sophomore, and she was all-state last year. She repeats this year, and so she's got 2 more years. So it's exciting.
And swim and dive is probably one of the programs here at Bryan that has the most success, year after year, year upon year of sending people to regionals and states.
They do, 18 years in a row to state, and I attribute a lot of that to Coach Luce, the workout regimens that she puts the kids through, and I think you mentioned the word consistency is key there. So she's kind of been that person all the way through that's been awesome to see to mentor our kids.
Absolutely. We also had some success in bowling this year.
Yeah, we sent 2 boys to the districts. We sent our entire girls team to districts, and it was good to see them bowl. And they were league champs. Our girls were as well. And bowling's one of those where some days you have it, some days you don't. So the girls showed during the regular season, what they were able to build on, and then sometimes when they got to district, it was a tough go. But nonetheless, they competed and they were right there.
Awesome. And then wrestling, Marley Yoder went to state for a second year in a row.
Yeah, and she was a regional champ, which has never happened in the 2-year history of girls wrestling here.
Long history.
Yeah. So that was good to see. And once again, she's kind of raising the bar for everybody else, the other girls in the program and in the young program that we talked about. Able to set that bar for those other girls and for something for them to achieve and look up to.
Yeah.
And so it was very neat to see.
And to have like a good junior high program down at wrestling. Well, all of our school teams have good junior high programs that kind of build, but wrestling especially to grow. I think it was just maybe 2 girls last year in wrestling, 2 or 3, and now there's more of a handful, and it's only going to continue to grow.
Yeah, I think so too. And I was talking to Coach Dominic about it, and he gets kids that come up to him in class now, and once they see the success of Marley and some of these other wrestlers, they want to try to do it too. So
That's awesome.
It's neat.
So we're kind of close. Did I miss anybody in the winter?
I don't believe so.
Okay. All right. So we're going to close the door on the winter season and spring, even though right now it feels like winter outside again. But spring brings a whole other set of challenges, and that's with weather.
Oh, man. I think we were just talking in the office. It's about 36 degrees real feel out there today. This weekend on Saturday, it's supposed to be opening day, and it's going to be a high of 29. So, I mean, we had a lot more days in the winter, in our winter season, that were warmer than what we're going to see here in the spring.
A couple 70-degree days in the winter season.
Yeah. We can use them now. We're paying the price for it.
Absolutely, but that's always a challenge to schedule, those games outside. I mean, track, at least you're on an all-weather track and you can run in the cold weather, but boy, oh boy, it's hard to get baseball and softball in with the bats and everything like that.
Yeah, you don't want to break your equipment and things like that, and it's just unfortunate. I know with some of our scrimmages so far, it's been really cold, but the sun's been out. So it's one of those where we'd like to play, we kind of roll the dice, but it is what it is. We run into it every spring.
All right, so let's talk about these spring sports. You've got a new coach in tennis, but not new to the program.
No, Adam Swisher, he's great. I coached with Adam for about 2 years in boys tennis, played in college, very knowledgeable. He's been with Coach Owens, who, I hold in the highest degree of coaches. So looking forward to that and see what he's able to do. And I know tennis, you're trying to get kids out. It's a new sport. We don't really have a junior high program for it or anything like that. So looking forward to it. And we have some kids that have been around success. So this is their opportunity now to come up and see what they can do.
I think 13 kids on the tennis team this year, and we're going to talk to all the coaches here coming up in this program. But, just to have that consistency, somebody that was with Coach Owens and now able to take it on his own. Yeah,
tennis is another animal. If you've not been around the game, it's got its own set of rules and things like that. So to have Coach Swisher be there to guide the boys, I think is a huge asset for us.
And unlike a lot of others, you mentioned no junior high program, but a lot of times in tennis, these are kids that haven't really played, and they're just picking up a racket for the first time when they get to high school.
Oh, yeah, and that's what I always used to say when we would coach them. And when they'd come up as freshmen, if you just give it about 3 days, you're going to kind of catch the fever there of tennis. Yeah. And it's very enjoyable. It's a fun leisure game for those kids to play. And it's one of those where you compete as a team, but you also compete individually. Yeah. So you can have individual success, maybe not have team success, and vice versa. So it's a good experience.
Speaking of sports that are also individual and team, we got track coached by Garret Gleckler, and Coach Gleckler is the cross-country coach as well, and he has a pretty decent sized track team for this year.
He does. Our numbers are fantastic. They're up around the 70 range, which is one of the bigger teams in the area, and attribute that to a lot of the coaches, the assistant coaches there as well. When you look at some of our throwers that we have coming back, some of our field event athletes, our distance is fantastic. Sprinters, I can't speak more highly of any of them.
Yeah, and that's just a fun program because it involves so many different skills. I mean, you got hurdlers, and you got distance runners and sprint runners, and then you've got all the different throwing events and pole vault. And
yes, yeah, so, it's fun. And we have a pole vault certified coach this year for the first time in about 3 years. So we're trying to build that program back up. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. There's something for everybody to do.
Absolutely. Well, then the other things you think about when you get to spring sports and you think about baseball and softball, Coach Corey Walker back with the baseball team didn't have the wins and loss records they wanted last year and didn't have the league finish they wanted last year, but I think they had a pretty successful season. One kind of peaked at the end there and won a couple of tournament games, and Coach Walker's back for his third season.
Yeah, and they competed last year, which is all you can ask for, and through about 4 or 5 innings they were right there, and then maybe an error or something in the 6th inning. So I know I've talked talk to him, and he speaks highly of these boys as well. A lot of guys that have contributed in previous years coming back. You have Jace Kepler here with his ACL injury, so he's got to find a new home there. But Coach Walker's very optimistic about this spring.
Yeah, and I think that they have a good shot to if they can get some consistency going. I think that's what doomed them a little bit last year. I think so too. And with baseball, it all comes down to pitching. Yep.
There's pitch counts and things like that. So to try to finagle that schedule a little bit, I think you got to pull the right strings at the right time.
Yeah. And then finally for the spring, softball with Coach Samantha Molina, they had a tremendous season last year as well.
They did. Went on to regionals, got beat by the eventual state champs. We only lost one senior off last year's team, so returning a lot of people now. I think that they're hungry, and then if you look at the fall and the winter seasons that they've had as well, they don't want the ride to end.
Yeah.
So I think that these girls are pretty laser focused, and then you throw in sophomore Thea Staten into that, who's an all-state pitcher. I think we have a recipe for quite a few wins this spring.
Also have had some great field improvements out there. A new press box happening, which I'm personally very excited about.
Yeah.
So
absolutely, it's a lot of fun, a lot of cool things going on out there with the Capital campaign, with the Bryan Athletic Boosters, and then you look at the BGSA, the Softball Association, able to fund that press box. It's pretty cool.
Let's talk about the Capital project, because we saw a lot of it happen during the fall with the turf and this video board and the scoreboard and all that. But a lot of it's not just touching that particular thing. These are touching a lot of fields, and we're in the phase now that's kind of at that park area.
Yeah, if you look out there right now, they're adding on, I think, 3 larger soccer fields. They're adding on, they're moving the JV softball field closer to the road, make it more accessible. You look at some of the upgrades that they're able to do out there, aside from just the ones on Bryan City Schools campus. I think it hits a wider range of kids. You're talking now anybody from 8 years old up through a senior in high school, so 16, 17, 18 years old. So they're able to get a mass audience as opposed to just affecting the kids 9 through 12.
And the Bryan Athletic Boosters does a great job of supporting student athletes. They used to be kind of the uniform people, but they don't do that so much anymore. But they do a lot of good things for our kids.
Oh, I mean, I've seen from the swimming program to buying some equipment for them, to the tennis program that we've talked about already, to baseball, softball. I don't think that we have a single athletics program now that they have not impacted in my 12 months as athletic director, which is awesome to hear, awesome to see. I know the coaches definitely appreciate it, and I don't think that they get as much recognition as they deserve for a lot that goes on.
Absolutely. And you're entering your third season here this year, but you started the spring last year, so you had a little bit of a jump.
So I know a little bit about how the spring works and rescheduling and things like that, but now the good thing is I don't have to juggle my teaching job and the athletic director role, so I can only do the athletic director role. So looking forward to that part of it and seeing how spring plays out.
So as the year has gone on, have you had some thoughts about what Bryan Athletics has been this year?
Yeah, I think that we have a lot of success in our programs that people don't see. There might be more kids out for different sports. There might be other sports that don't get highlighted as much. So I think there's a lot of successes that we've had that maybe people don't see, and then there's those successes that people do see that kind of make the headlines in the paper and things like that. So it's amazing to see from top to bottom, from 7 through 12, the impact that athletics has on kids' lives and the role that it plays in the community is amazing.
Yeah, and it's not, when you look at athletics, it's not really wins and losses. I mean, wins and losses are nice, but if you're putting quality out on the field and you're making good kids better and you're having good young men and women, which in my 17 years here, I've come to love that Bryan has good young men and women representing their teams.
Oh, 100%. I tell kids when it comes to sports, nobody ever looks back on sports and says, man, I'm glad I didn't play that. Everybody wishes that they would have done more. So they have 4 years in high school here to make some memories, and then the coaches along the way. When I was coaching, some of my best years weren't our most successful in terms of wins and losses, but like you said, some of the memories we made, some of the kids that you had on the team, you remember those, and those are the times that really count and really matter. And we see through athletics what role that plays in kids' lives, which is awesome.
We also want to mention about BryanSports.com, which is the official athletic website. Have done a great job all year long with reporting recaps and photos and things like that, and that's going to continue. And also trying to get 4 softball and 4 baseball games in this year, and I've got fingers crossed that we'll be able to broadcast those for you. But continuing on that path of bringing athletics to the masses.
Yeah, and what you guys do is unheralded. I mean, you look at other schools and what they do, I'd say, we blow everybody else out of the water as far as that coverage goes. So very appreciative of you, Chris, everybody else involved. It's awesome to see. I can't tell you, I bet a dozen times during a week is, hey, will this game be broadcasted or whatnot? And, it's cool because you have people from all over the country, really, that watch these, whether it be their niece and nephew or grandkid. It's neat to see, and you guys are definitely a part of that experience.
Yeah, and we'll do the regular season games, and then we'll follow both teams as they go through the tournament trail, and hopefully some long tournament runs in the spring like we did in the fall and the winter. And we had over 2,000, 2,500 people watching those girls' games from Mansfield. So,
That's cool.
a lot of success there, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right, well, I appreciate you being with me as
Absolutely.
we kick this program off. We're going to get to hear from all the coaches, which is always fun to hear what they have to say about their seasons.
Oh, yeah.
Put them on the spot and ask them hard questions, right?
Right, yes. See how optimistic they are now. Let's talk to them in a few weeks and see if they have the same feelings.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to take a timeout. When we come back, we will talk with all of our spring sports coaches. It is Inside the Bears Den Spring Sports Preview on the Golden Bear Sports Network. Back after this.
To the Bryan Golden Bear fans, those who made donations to the cause,
to the school board and administration,
and everyone who played a role in this project.
we just want to say
thank you!
Phase 2 of the capital improvement project includes field upgrades at Rec Park, a new softball field, and revitalization of soccer fields on the former Washington school property, and renewal of practice fields on the BCS campus. Let's finish the project and build champions.
Go Bears! Bryan Bill!
Welcome back out on the Golden Bear Sports Network. Chris Malang alongside Adam Swisher, the coach of the boys tennis team. And Coach, you've been around the program for a while, but this is the first year as head coach. So welcome to your first interview with this Golden Bear Sports Network.
Thank you. I'm excited to see what it has in store. So.
All right, so tell us just a little bit about your background. Like I said, you've been involved with the tennis teams here at Bryan before.
Yeah, I've been a part of the program here for 3 years. Been doing both the girls and guys teams. So this is third year total. First year as the head coach for the boys, so I know how the program works and kind of the goals that we have and kind of the landscape of our competition. So I'm excited to kind of take over and see what we do this year.
The tennis program at Bryan has been really strong, both on the girls and the boys side, and we send a lot of people to state. We do so that's got to be exciting coming into that role. As the head coach, getting the chance to kind of see that success continue.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Hoping we get some people to make some deep runs this year as well. I think that's a very good possibility with our team that we have. Being able to kind of see that from a different lens is going to be very exciting and just a really fun thing to see this year.
So tell us about the makeup of the tennis team and who we're going to be seeing around and hearing those people's names.
Yeah, so Landon Bassett will be our one singles. He was our one singles last year. He's kind of taken that anchor spot of the top there, and then we have Caleb McCashin, who's a senior. He's gonna probably be our two singles. And then after that, it's a mystery. We have a lot of guys that are very similar in talent, which is great. That means our team's very deep, which I'm very excited about. But Eli Schlade is one that's probably going to anchor our one doubles as a senior there. He's got a lot of experience, so there's another name there. And then for the rest, we are going to have a rotation for second doubles. Guys like freshman Jaden Deal, freshman Brendan Roberts, Simon Kellogg will be in there. Nolan Fransdorf is probably going to be up at one doubles, just to name a few names there.
That's awesome. So depth is a good thing in tennis.
Yes, it's very good. We play 5 spots, so if you can win 3 out of those 5, that's the goal, and that's what helps you win each match. If we can be strong at the bottom, we can compete at the top with Landon and Caleb, but getting one of those other spots is important too.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about how a tennis match would work. So you said there's 5 points available, right? Yep. So to win outright would be 5-0, but you got to win 3-2. So your number one is playing their number one, basically?
Yes, so we go down 1 singles, 2 singles, 3 singles. Your 1 has to be better than your 2. Your 2 has to be better than your 3. Same thing for doubles. We have 1 doubles and 2 doubles. That has a little more flexibility, but still your 1 doubles has to be better than your 2. A lot of times we like to split up teams to see if we can get 2 teams that are very similar, just so that we can have 2 stronger lineups as opposed to 1 that's really good and 1 that's a little bit weaker. So that's kind of how it works. And we do a ladder tournament at the beginning of the year. Basically, the guys play each other. So it's really nice for me. I don't have to make a ton of decisions coaching-wise on who's playing what position other than who's playing singles and doubles, because they get to kind of make that for themselves based on who they beat in the tournament.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And then as you're practicing and getting ready for the season, are you doing just a lot of playing tennis against each other? Is that how you're getting ready for these teams? Is there other kind of things you guys do to get warmed up?
So we do play a lot of match kind of play and practice, just because that's where you get that component of pressure. You know, tennis is a very mental sport. There's a lot of different kind of emotions that go on, and you're by yourself. You're on an island there. So I like to get a lot of match play, but there are some things we do that kind of works on specific skills, especially doubles. There's a lot of strategic ways that you move in doubles, the ways that you can get to the net and really make sure that you're kind of having the advantage. So I do a lot with court positioning, making sure that we know where we need to be to get the highest percentage of winning the points.
That's awesome. When you look at in the United States, you see the rise of pickleball, and this may sound like a weird question, but I have a purpose here. When you see that, you see kids that are kind of getting more involved. I see a lot of kids go to the Y, and is that kind of something that kind of introduces at least the concept of tennis? Because I feel like tennis is a sport that you could come in as a freshman, a sophomore, junior, even senior, and just kind of try it out. It's an easy entry sport, I guess.
Right. Yeah. The thing with pickleball is it's a lot more user friendly. I like tennis more just because I played it growing up, but I mean, it's a great way to learn how to make contact with a ball, and it is a good kind of stepping stone. The thing about, like you said, kids can come in, and if you're semi-athletic and you have good footwork from other sports, you can come in and really compete for a varsity spot. So that's the one thing I've told a lot of these guys, the new guys, because our team, we have 7 returners but 6 new guys. So half our team is newcomers. So it's a great way to, compete for a varsity letter, and even if you're not playing varsity, just to get out and play and have a lifelong sport that you can play.
Absolutely, and it is one of those things that you can do lifelong. So let's talk about your facilities here. We have a great facility. It used to be out in the park, but now we've got a facility on campus, and it's a great place to play.
Yes, it's awesome. It's definitely one of the nicest facilities in the area for sure. No cracks other than where there's supposed to be cracks, which is awesome. Shout out to Coach Owens for getting that taken care of. But yeah, we're very fortunate to have 6 courts. So that extra court helps us get a lot of JV guys on, and just beautiful facilities. I mean, having just such well-kept facilities is amazing.
Now, you guys, in a lot of the other sports, we compete in the NWOL, and in tennis that's different because there's not a NWOL for tennis. But tell us a little bit about the league you guys play in, and then some of the teams you might.
Yeah, so we have the Northern Buckeye Tennis League. That's basically a home for all the teams that don't have a league. So teams like other NWOL teams, Archbold, Wauseon, so those are only the other 2. So we would only have 3 if we had an NWOL league. So we also bring in Ada, we bring in Ayersville, and we bring in Rossford. So those teams all don't have a league. It kind of just gives us all something to kind of compete for, and makes tennis a little bit more exciting from that aspect.
And then you also play a number of teams outside that league, and teams we've heard a lot of Ottawa Hills and teams like that are just strong tennis teams in the area. Yeah,
so Ottawa Hills is the big one for us. That's kind of our big rival because they're always good. They have a lot of kids that grow up going to the tennis clubs, going private lessons and all those kind of things, and they have a lot of kids that play when they're younger. For us, we get a lot of kids, most of them haven't touched a racket till their freshman year. So that's, if we can compete with them, that's like always our goal, to have close matches with them. We've been winning them occasionally in the past couple of years, which has been amazing. Other teams like Maumee Valley Country Day, a lot of times it's those private schools, that are more geared towards the more country club sports, as I like to call them. But yeah, those are some of the big competitions for us. We did draw Lexington in the state team tournament, which they're a powerhouse as well. They have a racket club in their town, which would be amazing. But that's great for them. They can play year round, that kind of stuff. But I'm just really thankful for the program Coach Owens has created so that we can still compete with, a lot of these teams. So it's really a great thing.
Let's talk a little bit about how the season runs as far as the schedule. If I remember correctly from the girls, we took like little breaks in the season to do these mini tournaments and things like that. Is that the same for the boys?
Kind of, yeah. So the boys is a little bit different because we have like a few more weeks of practice before the season, and then we're just going like 4 matches a week. For the girls, we start right away. So like we have practice on Monday, that Friday we have a match. For boys, it's nice to have 3 weeks, especially when you have so many new guys.
People, yeah.
But once we get into the season, for us, it's like 4 matches a week. On the weeks, we have tournaments. We have probably 3 matches and then the tournament. So we're pretty busy. So it's not as much like the girls as far as like lulls and then busy times. It's just busy once we start. So.
And then is there a mid-season tournament for the boys, like as far as the state level or no?
So our tournament is, so we have the individual tournament at the end of the year. That is through the OHSAA. We also have a team tournament through the Ohio Tennis Coaches Association, and they kind of run that tournament. That takes place. We're actually going to start that our first week of the season.
Wow.
And you play matches all the way until the end of the season if you keep winning. So, yeah.
And then once you are at the end of the season, how does like district regionals, things like that work out?
Yeah, so at the end of the season, there's the Northwest, Northeast, South, West, and Central. And those all go to the very end, and there's 4 teams left. So those 4 teams end up going to state. So basically, it's just split into the 4 regions for the team tournament. For the individuals, we have sectionals here at Bryan, which is awesome, being able to host. We don't have to drive anywhere. And then if we make it past sectionals individually, so we could have anywhere from 1 to 7, all 7 players make it. Then we'd go to Port Clinton for districts, and then if we get past the district tournament, then we'd go to the state tournament.
Wow,
so
that's awesome.
Yeah, which I'm hoping we get at least one person there, so we'll see what we can do. Hopefully we can, be really competitive.
As a new coach coming in, as a head coach, you've been in this program. Do you have any goals you've kind of set for the team this year at your first year? Yeah,
so we actually talked about goals as a team. So there's a few that the guys want to accomplish. A lot of those are, beating Ottawa Hills. They want 20 wins. I would be ecstatic with 20 wins. I think for me, like first year, I'm really hoping, that we can, be a 16 or more wins. I think that's a really attainable goal for us. Other than that, I just want to see these guys get better every day. It's a sport that since they don't start till they're so, in high school, you get to see a lot of improvement really quick. So that's a really rewarding thing for me to see is just, okay, like this kid couldn't hit a forehand, now he can. Like little things like that. That's why people coach. I mean, that's why I coach, just to see, those little improvements. But also like winning our conference tournament, I think that's a very doable thing. And then I would love to see 2 district entries. So maybe a singles and a doubles team. So that I think is one of my biggest goals for our team too, is just getting 2 district entries. That's awesome. Yep. Well, we wish you the best of luck as you go. Yeah. It's going to be an exciting year. I'm really, really excited for it. We'd like to just get some weather getting nice. Right. We've had, this past week has been tough, and I told the guys today it's going to be 35 degrees. I'm like, we're practicing. There's no wind. Let's do it. So, we've had 2 practices this week already canceled. It's just how it goes with spring sports. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, Coach, we wish you the best of luck as you go along the season. Awesome. Thank you. Coach Adam Swisher of the Bryan tennis team, the boys tennis team, going to take this time out, come back with more after this on the Golden Bears Sports Network.
The Fountain City Amphitheater provides opportunities for families and friends to have fun at many different events. After winning Season 21 of The Voice on Team Kelly, Girl Named Tom recently performed a free concert on the AMP's incredible outdoor stage, thanks to numerous corporate and family sponsors.
With a 5-tier sponsorship opportunity, you can help support this project and all that is to come. Sponsorships promote brand exposure and include unique bonuses with each tier.
To learn more about how you can help provide quality programming at the AMP, visit cityofbryan.com/FC Amphitheater.
Welcome back out on the Golden Bear Sports Network. Chris Malang alongside Coach Garret Gleckler of the track team. And Coach, we talked to you back in the fall during cross country, and now here we are, and we're in the spring, theoretically, and track has started.
Yeah, we had some great weather at the beginning of the season, and now it's it's typical spring weather.
It's been a little cold. So last year you guys had a lot of success in the track. You want to kind of recap some of that?
Yeah. So we had, as far as regional qualifiers, we had our girls 4x8 make it to regionals. Kate Thormeyer made it to regionals and then to state. She was in the 16 and 3,200 at regionals and then 1,600 at state. Jelana Schenkel, who is not back at Bryan this year, but last year she had a ton of success breaking school records in the 100 and 200, and she was all-state in both events.
Yeah.
And then Nicolette Stickney was at regionals, so she was part of the 4x8 in the 3,200. Mara Smith was in the 4x8, 800. Brody Devlin and Rylan Garza both graduated, but they finished 5th last year at regionals and just missed making it to state.
Just lots of success over the years with the track team here at Bryan.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. So let's talk about, you guys have the boys and girls track team. They both generally perform in the same meets, and so you're kind of the coach of both of them. We also have a pretty decent junior high track program that's come along. And let's kind of talk about what you expect and see from this year.
Yeah, so the boys team will be pretty balanced to where we have a really strong sprint group this year. By strong, I guess I should say we have really good numbers of sprinters for the boys. And then we have some strong newcomers, as I said. I think we have 26 out of 39 are freshmen, sophomores.
Wow,
so it's
that's
a young team with potential over these next few years. But the boys team should be, I think, in the hunt for a league title for the first time in, I think it's been 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, it's been quite a while, so that's awesome.
Yeah. And then the girls team, while we lost Jelana, who was
she moved out
kind of the star sprinter, we do have quite a few back for the girls too. We have the majority of the 4x8 that was at regionals last year, and hopefully they can kind of make some noise and make it to state. And they'll be kind of knocking on the door of a potential school record in the 4x8 too. So
that's amazing.
That's a target at least.
That's awesome.
And then Chloe Spizak will really help the sprint group. She'll kind of head the 100, 200 group, as well as, again, Kate Thormeyer, as I mentioned, will be real competitive. The girls team will probably be somewhere more in the middle of the league as far as overall points. We do have some injuries, sadly. So Ava Lambert ended up hurting herself on her trampoline before the season started, so she's not able to compete. And Emmy Miller just recently got injured, and she would have been really helpful in the hurdles this year.
Absolutely. Well, when you look at the timeline of things, I mean, you've got kids running all year long. You got cross country, you got some kids doing indoor stuff, and now you've got this. I've seen kids jogging around the school building. It's been too cold, so it really is about practicing early on and getting ready for that season.
Absolutely, yeah. And to mention a few others, I mean, Drew Hahn will really help out with the sprinters. This year he did some indoor stuff as well, and didn't quite make it to indoor state, but he is going to be super competitive this season. And to touch a little bit more on a couple of the other newcomers, Spencer Woodward had the junior high records. I know you'd said we have a strong junior high group that's come up. He had some junior high records as well as Elijah Cummins. So those two guys will really help out with the boys team. And then for the girls, as far as newcomers, we have Heidi Figgins, who will really help with the throwers. And then the Alianakian twins will be really helpful in relays and sprint to mid-distance events.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
When you look at how massive a track, breadth of events, sprinters, you have distance runners, mid runners, and then you have all the throwing and field events too. So how does that all come together? You have a lot of good coaches.
Yeah, thankfully we have a good number of coaches this year. We have Jason Luthi, who has stepped into the pole vault role after being at Ayersville. I think he'd said he'd coached for like 15 or 16 years, so we didn't have much experience with pole vault. So having someone who really knows that has been helpful to kind of just build it from the ground up, since we don't have much experience in that area. Jordan Brown, male Jordan Brown, he coaches the hurdles, and he does a really good job with them. And then Scott Green is the sprint coach, as well as helping in high jump. We have Owen Potvin, the former state runner a few years ago. He'll help out with sprints as well, and long jump. And then Josh Montgomery is our throws coach. Then I'll work mostly with mid-distance, distance kids.
That's awesome. It just really comes together and do that. Track's just a fun sport if you haven't had a chance. Yeah, I know you guys only have one home meet, but you're doing a lot of invitationals, and you know it's good to get lots of experience there, and with the ultimate goal of getting back to state.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's hard to touch on every kid. I'm sure I'm missing some because we're talking about 75 or so kids between boys and girls teams.
And that's a healthy number too, right? Like to continue a program growing. And if you have some success at the lower levels as they've had, it will only translate to good success.
Absolutely. And I do think the running club has been super helpful for that. I know it's during the fall cross-country season, but Bryan Cummins does a great job with that, and he develops them well at the junior high level.
Do you get a lot of kids that cross over between cross-country and track?
We have, I'd say the majority, if they run cross country, they do track.
That's neat.
But some of them do other events. Like Ethan Bailey he'll do hurdles, even though in the fall he was a distance runner. So we'll have some others doing different events. Like Spencer's another one that does more 200, 400. He might bump to an 8, but he does more sprinting events, whereas he ran cross country in the fall.
Right. Yeah. When you look at your schedule and how things shake out, is there anything that you see on the schedule that kind of stands out to something you want to tell people about?
I always look forward to it. So the Lima Bath Invite's a good one because we see most of the district teams there, and then we see league teams throughout the season at all of our tri-meets and dual meets. So if people have the chance to come out and support on Tuesday, April 9th, that would be our only home meet. So it's the one opportunity to see them here in Bryan.
April 8th, make sure you put that on the calendars there. When you look at the league, it's at Delta this year, the league meet?
No, league is at Evergreen.
Evergreen, okay.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the league when you look at them. Like you said, the boys are going to kind of be in the mix.
So Delta returns a really strong group. They have a couple of hurdlers that were at state this past year, and they just have a very balanced scoring. Like they'll score a lot of points in field events, again the hurdles, their distance is developing as well as some of their sprinters. So I think Delta will have a strong group. Wauseon won the league last year. They graduated a fair amount of their runners, throwers, etc. But they should be pretty strong too. But I would say Delta and Bryan should be neck and neck next year or this season.
When you go onto the girls' side, what does that look like?
Yeah, girls' side Liberty Center is
constantly
the clear-cut favorite.
Cross country, and track,
right? So I would say girls' side, they're real strong. Wauseon will have some events that are pretty competitive too. I think they have Tegan Roop, who's a really good pole vaulter, long jumper. She was at state for one or both of those events. Wauseon has a real strong group back too. And otherwise, again, we should be somewhere kind of in the middle. Patrick Henry has a strong group too of sprinters, mid-distance, distance girls, because they had made it to state and cross country.
Yeah, they did. There's a lot of good talent around Northwest Ohio.
Yeah,
makes it challenging, but fun. And you're hoping the weather turns here.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You got to get outdoors and do a lot of that all-weather stuff.
For sure, yeah.
All right, well, Coach, we wish you the best of luck as you go on the season, and keep us posted on how things are going, all right?
Sounds good, thank you.
All right, Coach Garret Gleckler of the Bryan track and field team. Going to take this time out, come back with more after this on the Golden Bear Sports Network.
Discover tremendous scholarship opportunities at Northwest State. Over the past 2 years, we have awarded nearly $2 million in foundation scholarships. That's free money for college. Don't miss out. Apply today.
Discover affordable transfer opportunities at Northwest State.
Start here and save thousands on tuition.
Our advising team will help you get your credits transferred.
So don't wait another minute. Get started today.
Welcome back out on the Golden Bear Sports Network. Chris Malenga alongside Coach Corey Walker, the Bryan baseball team. Year 3 is upon us.
It is. Year 3. Seems like it hasn't been that long, but it goes by quick.
Absolutely. You guys had a season last year where you probably wanted to be a little bit better record than you ended up with, but a successful season nonetheless.
Sure. Our record where we ended up was not where we kind of expected for this program. We even struggled in league play a little bit, and it was just a lot of inconsistency in all different aspects of the game. One day we would hit well and we wouldn't field well. Then we would field well and we couldn't put the bat on the ball and those type of things. We did finish kind of well. We played well the last 3 weeks, got a couple of tournament wins, got to the district tournament. So to be end on a kind of positive note there was nice. and you hope we can kind of build off that into the next season.
Absolutely. A couple of guys that you lost last year, Dylan Dominic, Tayson Deckross, Joe Watson, guys that are big program guys, kind of hard to replace.
Sure, and all 6 of those seniors. I mean, I'll throw like Aiden and Landon and Colburn in there as well. I mean, we're losing from that class over 100 innings. We're losing our starting catcher, starting first baseman. So those spots are going to be tough to place. We have some younger guys that have varsity experience or have some Acme experience that we're hoping to step up. But those are big shoes to fill that we're going to hopefully have some guys step up and take over.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about the makeup of the team and how you see things lining up. Lower Heward's back, Cole Uran's back, Lazarus Lane's back. I don't know if Jace is going to be able to go or not this year.
Jace
says he is, but
Jace has done. I mean, to be frankly honest, Jace has done more than we have expected of him. He kind of came in, and obviously, unfortunately, has the injury. And we go through the idea of, okay, maybe he can hit for us. Well, he comes in and hit, he's fine. So we say, okay, maybe he can play first base for us. He comes in and he plays first base. 2 days later, he asks, can I play third? So we go, okay, maybe he can play third. And well, he's not going to pitch. And then we're like, okay, let's see if he can pitch. And now he's pitching. So, I mean, he's done everything that we've asked of him and a ton more. So
you can't keep a kid like that down.
Right, and he's a kid that's such a competitor, and he doesn't want to miss that senior year. He wants to be out there and doing everything he can, and so far he has. It's kind of a pretty neat story so far.
Yeah, absolutely. All that. Absolutely. So where do you kind of see things this year? As you said, you had a bunch of pieces to replace. How are things kind of fitting together?
Well, we say we got a lot to replace, but we also have, for us, we have a lot back. We got 6 guys from our lineup back. 6, and 3 of those, 4 of those are, 3 or 4 or 5 of those are multi-year guys.
Yeah.
We're talking 3-4 year guys. So we're going to go offensively as those guys go. From Jason, Noah, Lazarus, Cole, Carter. Cade played as a freshman last year as our center fielder. Landon Bassett comes back with extra innings this year. So we're going to really build off of those guys and kind of hopefully fill in with some younger guys that we're looking at to step up.
Absolutely. It's kind of like putting those pieces together.
Right, it's like a puzzle. You got to figure it out as you go here.
Yeah, and consistency is really the key. I mean, I think you and I talked a lot last year about, if you can put together 9 innings or 7 innings of a full game where everything is kind of coming together, you're pretty unstoppable.
That's what we tell our kids, and this is high school baseball. Most games, one team doesn't win, the other team loses. They beat themselves. It's the team that makes more mistakes that usually ends up losing. So that's what we tell them. If we can do the little things right and just make the routine plays and just be competitive at the plate and just throw strikes, you're going to have an opportunity to win most high school baseball games. So those are kind of the little things we're hammering home with them right now.
And when you put personnel in place, who are some of the names we're going to see, like pitching and things like that?
So pitching-wise, if we look at our rotation a little bit, we're going to be leaning on another Dominic. Can't get away from him. And we're going to be leaning on Carter quite a bit. Carter's thrown in, he's a junior, but in the last 2 years he's thrown 70 innings for us. So we're going to be leaning on him. We're going to expect Noah to step up. Cade, he's only a sophomore, but he's looked really good. Landon Bassett is back from last year.
He kind of dual sports with.
He does. So he's a pitcher for us only. But we're really happy to have him because he's a good athlete. He's a competitor. It's great when we can get him out there. We're going to see some guys like Elijah Fry and Gavin Pittman in relief, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some at this point. But we're not going to be a team that throws the ball past people. Carter's going to be our hardest thrower, and he's probably going to be low 80s. So we're a team that's going to have to pitch contact. We're a team that's going to have to fill up the strike zone, and we're going to have to trust our secondary stuff.
And you have to support behind your pitcher.
Correct. And we're going to have to play great team defense. Jace is the one I forgot. He's going to throw for us, too.
That's kind of amazing.
It's
because when you look at him and you thought, oh, there's no way. But he said from the get-go he was going to play, and here he is. Let's talk a little bit about the league. The NWAL is always super tough. It's a good baseball league. And where do you see things this year?
I mean, obviously our goal every year is the same when it comes to the league. Our goal is to win a league championship. This year is going to be difficult. There's a couple teams that bring a ton back. Liberty Center's going to be really good. Not usually a baseball school, but this last couple of years they've really put some things together. They have some really nice classes. They're going to be a really nice team. Archbold has 2 really, really good arms. If you're going to beat them, you better figure out how to score runs off of really good pitching. PH brings quite a bit back. Evergreen brings a ton back. So we're really hoping to, like I said earlier, do the little things and compete every day. we got to show up every day because we're going to see guys throwing 80 to 85 to upper 80s almost every single game in the league. And we know, as Bryan, you're going to get the team's ace every single time. So you better be ready for that kind of stuff.
When you look at your schedule, how it comes down, quite a bit of talented teams you'll be playing non-league as well.
Yeah, I mean, we schedule that way for a reason. Okay, maybe the wins aren't there as much as they would be if we scheduled differently. But we're playing multiple D1 schools our second week of the season. We're going on the D1 trek. We're playing Perrysburg, Findlay, and Southview. And the goal is basically your measuring stick. Where are you at? Okay, this is the type of competition you got to play with, and if you want to make a run down the tournament trail, you got to be able to compete with these type of teams, but you also got to be able to find a way to beat these teams. So we scrimmage teams like Anthony Wayne, who was in the Division I Final Four last year. And again, it's going to open some of our younger guys' eyes up pretty quickly. They're going to learn that this game is very, very fast at this level, but it's great for us down the road when we're seeing the same thing in tournament time, and we're more comfortable with it, hopefully, than the team on the other sideline.
Absolutely. And you saw that last year at the end of the season,
Sure.
how you were able to get wins in Napoleon and Mommy and things like
Sure.
that.
When you've played those type of games and you've been in them and maybe you don't have the success you want, it at least gives you that little bit of comfort of you know what to do within those situations.
Real quick, the coaching staff that you've got with you, let's talk about them, give them some recognition. Who's
Sure.
going to be helping you?
For the most part, same guys as last year, which is fantastic. Having that continuation with the coaching staff with the kids is great. Us knowing what we want from each other. So varsity-wise, Kyle Roop is back for his 4th year as an assistant. Tyler Davey and Adam Wheeler will also be on the varsity staff. And then we got a couple younger guys that I think have a really bright future in baseball coaching if they stick with it. And that's Eli Tressler's going to be our head coach, and then Jared Kepler's our assistant JV coach.
Nice. So kind of consistency in former players.
And that's you beat me to it, and that's the biggest thing I like about it. You look at it, besides myself and Coach Davey, the other guys are all former Bryan guys. And they're there because they want this program to be successful.
Absolutely. All right. Well, last thing I'll talk about just the lower levels of baseball, the junior bears and the youth baseball. That really is a program thing. What happens in varsity baseball is built down at the lower levels.
Absolutely. If you don't have a good youth program, you're not going to have the success consistently at the higher levels. And I've said it a million times, I am spoiled here. I am so fortunate with our Bryan Baseball Association, especially with Ryan Miller running it, former assistant coach here, varsity coach for a long time. He knows what the expectations of the program are, and all those people that volunteer their time to help with that. We would not be the program we are without that organization that's doing that stuff.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to get things started. You got a scrimmage in the chilly air this afternoon, and you go next week or so. You're playing real games, right?
Yeah, we open up Saturday with Rossford, and then we hit the ground running. 5 games the first week, 3 games the next week. That's spring baseball. Got to get them in when you can.
Absolutely. All right, Coach Corey Walker, the Bryan Golden Bears baseball team. Best of luck this year.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to take this time out. We're going to come back with more after this on the Golden Bears Sports Network.
Rooting on the Golden Bears is a tradition that brings us all together.
Just like the sports we love, another tradition has stood the test of time. Oberlin-Turnbull Funeral Home and Crematory since 1922. We've been part of the community, supporting you in the moments of celebration and loss.
Just like a team, we understand the value of traditions and the love that binds us together.
So whether it's cheering for a win or celebrating a life well lived, remember we are here for you.
Oberlin-Turnbull Funeral Home and Crematory. Family owned, family focused.
Welcome back on the Golden Bears Sports Network. Final segment here. We've got Coach Sam Molina of the girls softball team, and welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's been a little different this year now that I'm here in the building.
Yes.
I see you all the time. But I feel like we haven't chatted since last spring.
No, yeah, I know. We're all so busy doing our own thing, and you've been busy with all the other sports. So.
Absolutely. Well, we're getting set to do softball, and, as we've talked in the past, we've had a great run of games with softball.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've done nice tournament runs, and we've also seen that in the other sports. So you got a lot coming back and a lot of experience in that postseason.
Yeah, every year we've continued to advance and go further and further, and I think obviously our goal is just to continue to make it even further and hopefully make it to states this year. So we have a good crew coming back, and I think this is the year to do it. So hopefully we can continue that run.
Absolutely. And we saw with the girls basketball team, senior laden, they've been there before. You have the same situation going on, senior laden, you've been there before, and the time is right to get past that hurdle.
Yeah, so I mean, we have 7 seniors, which is obviously extremely beneficial for us because they can lead the way for some of those younger kids. But obviously, we have some very important underclassmen on our team as well. So just a mix of all of them and their different skills is going to be super helpful for us all year.
Let's talk a little bit about who we're going to see out there. Obviously, last year we saw a lot of Thea State, all Ohio pitcher.
Yep.
And she's back.
Yep, so we got Thea on the mound. She'll obviously see most of our innings in that position. And then obviously behind her we have Caitlin Nagel, who's ready to throw and has been doing a great job for us. And always sees, to kind of a different motion, a different speed, a little bit different movement when she comes in, which always throws batters off, which is great to have. And then Maya Lingham might see some innings as well, who's a freshman for us.
Awesome. We saw them. We saw Maya play a little bit during basketball season too. And then reliable catcher behind the plate.
Yeah, Ella Voigt behind the plate, and her and Thea obviously work hand in hand together. Thea was super ecstatic when she came back from basketball, just knowing she had her catcher back. So that bond between those two is, kind of irreplaceable. So excited to see kind of how they continue to mesh this year.
Absolutely. And, when you have pitching that's on, you're good. But those situations when maybe you don't, or people are starting to get some hits, what you require is good defense behind your pitcher and your catcher. And Bryan has always had good defense.
Yeah, I mean, we have definitely some depth in different places, which is great to have. We'll have probably Josie back at second and Kaylee Thiel at first. Amaya will see time at shortstop as a freshman, and then Miley Vollmer at third. And we obviously can mix some girls around. Kenzie Blevins can play third or outfield. Marley's been a little injured in our outfield, but hopefully she's back with us soon. And Tabby Taylor, Tegan, Caitlin, all of them can find their spots in the outfield as well.
How does that look as a coach when you have that experience and you just go, well, it's the next person up, but we're going to put this person in, and they're going to perform?
I think, the girls can compete with each other, which makes it helpful because they are able to kind of compete for those spots and not just rely on having a set spot for themselves. And it's nice to know that you have girls that can, pick up where the other person left off or move some girls around depending on what you're seeing from another team. So obviously beneficial to our team and hopefully can help us in each game.
We talked with Coach Walker, and he said the key to the baseball team this year is going to be consistency. They have to consistently hit, consistently field, consistently pitch. Is that kind of the same message you preach to your girls?
Yeah, I mean, consistency, obviously you want to make sure that your defense and your offense are strong every single game. I think we've always done a pretty good job on defense. Obviously worked on some different things with new girls in different spots, but I think our main consistent spot that we need to focus on is offense and making sure that we're having good at-bats and quality at-bats and able to drive those runs in when we need them.
Absolutely. All right, so we're going to talk about the schedule here in just a minute, but first you guys have a pretty fun trip happening next week at spring break.
Yeah, so this is the first time we're taking a team trip. We're going to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. We have lots of fun stuff for the girls planned, and hopefully they're excited to go, and we'll see 4 quality teams when we're down there, so should be a good time.
Not all fun and games, but you get to play some good competition too.
Yep, so a little bit of everything.
Awesome. Well, after we get back from that, we get right into the season, and let's talk a little about the league this year. League's always tough. NWAL is tough across all sports, and how do you see things shaking up in the league?
Yeah, I think, we should still be a top contender. We went 7-0 in the league last year. We haven't lost a ton in different spots, so I really think we should just be right up there at the top like we were last year. I think Liberty Center, Swanton, Archbold, always going to be strong contenders, but everyone brings in new people every year and kind of flip things around, so anyone can beat anyone on a given night depending on the circumstances, so just always making sure we're ready to compete.
Looking at that non-league schedule, also got some teams we faced throughout the year. Sometimes we faced them in the postseason, but strong non-league slate as well. Yeah, I think we continue to try to make our schedule stronger because that's what we felt like we needed to see to prepare us better for, the postseason run. So obviously our schedule is not an easy schedule, but I think it will continue to make us better. Absolutely, and that's what we want to do is get better. So let's talk about the coaching staff. Some changes there, and let's talk about who's going to be helping you out again this year.
Yeah, so on varsity staff, we have Bryan Arnold and Hillary Staten, who have been there for the past few years. And then for our JV coach, we have Paula Fry joining us, and then obviously she'll be up helping with varsity as well.
That's awesome. And she comes over from Eden, so brings a lot of experience. So you keep poaching Eden coaches.
Yeah, we're going to keep stealing them.
There you go. So, you start things off, and the weather's always critical at the beginning of the season. Spring sports are just fun that way with cold temperatures and things. When you look at that, how is that a struggle? Do you have to struggle with that a lot?
You kind of expect it being in Ohio with the spring weather. I think the biggest thing is when it rains, our field might be out for a few days, which isn't always convenient because you could have a 70-degree day, but a soaking wet field. So
we saw that in the postseason.
Yeah. Last district game, we kind of had a flood going on that field. But we just prepare for it, and yesterday we went out practice in the cold to get ready for those colder games, and you always hear a little bit of complaining about it, but we just kind of walk through that, and the girls understand that that's something we have to do. We did have some really warm days in February, which was great, so we got out early, and then having the turf football field this year has been great for us to get on and just see some different things outside.
And also the Bets is the ability to go in there as well. So.
Yeah, we are so blessed with that facility. Most schools are practicing in a gym all year long, so I don't think the girls even realize how lucky they are to have a facility like that.
Here at the Williams County Veteran Service Office, our mission is plain and simple. We are here to serve our local Williams County veterans and their dependents. We are staffed with trained service officers who have the compassion and understanding to assist their fellow veterans in obtaining all federal and state benefits that they have earned. Additionally, we provide emergency financial assistance and transportation to VA medical centers. So if you're a veteran or a dependent of a veteran, stop in today and see how we can help you at the Williams County Veteran Service Office.
That's going to do it for this edition of Inside the Bears Den Spring Sports Preview. I want to thank all of our spring coaches, Coach Molina, Coach Walker, Coach Gleckler, Coach Swisher, and of course Athletic Director Nathan Keel for coming and talking with me today. I want to thank all of you for watching, and we'll have some great sports this spring. Go Bears!